A Disney World vacation should not leave you feeling defeated, but that happens for a lot of people. Let's make sure it doesn't happen for you here on DFB Guide. Hey everybody, it's AJ for Disney Food Blog. When you're shoveling a lot of money towards a Disney World vacation, you expect to dig up a treasure trove of awesome memories and not just a bunch of disappointment. So today we're going to talk about why people feel like they're not getting the Disney World experience they were promised, as well as how to avoid the same type of letdown for your upcoming trip. We're going to begin by ripping off the Band-Aid for a wound we'd rather not expose, but let's begin with something that can be so stressful and so annoying for so many folks. Things are still closed. Rarely do we go on a Disney World trip without experiencing that dreaded temporarily unavailable notice for rides, restaurants, or other popular attractions. So why does this happen? Why must we remain so close yet so far away from our must-do experiences? Well, reason number one, an experience is still in the process of being built. We're still waiting for Magic Kingdom's first launch coaster, Tron Light Cycle Run, to announce its big opening once and for all, and we're still eager to hear more about Moana's Journey of Water. That'll be opening at Epcot, but for now, both attractions remain under construction with no official launch dates, per the release of this video. And those situations can mean other things are closed, like the train, for example, over there in Magic Kingdom because of Tron's construction. And reason number two, there's an extended hiatus happening. Though many aspects of Disney World have finally reopened after the 2020 closures, several still remain in the dark, like the Akershus Royal Banquet Hall Character Buffet in Epcot, Voyage of the Little Mermaid stage show in Disney's Hollywood Studios, along with lots of other restaurants and experiences that currently have teetering fates. Reason number three, construction and renovations are underway. So in some cases, you'll book a Disney World resort only to find their feature pool going through seasonal refurbishments. This happens often during Disney's slower winter seasons with not just their pools, but rides as well. It gives Disney time to show some TLC to experiences that are in desperate need of some tune-ups and spit shines. But if you're not prepared for that and you spend a lot of money on a hotel that's pool is down, or you really want to ride Splash Mountain in January and it's under construction, that can cause some major disappointment, both for you and for your family. And reason four, maybe it's just a temporary, hopefully, maintenance issue. Disney World rides run all day long, so some of the more high-tech experiences like Disney's trackless dark rides or even older experiences like Spaceship Earth and Haunted Mansion may have to briefly close to get up and running again when they're starting to feel worn down and experiencing glitches. Even though all these are solid reasons for closures, that doesn't mean we're not super bummed when we get to Disney only to learn that something we really wanted to do isn't going to be available. So let's talk solutions. I can't ease your heartache and I can't force these experiences to open when they're not going to, but what I can help you do is prepare ahead of time. If you're looking forward to the opening of a brand new attraction, hold off on your Disney plans until you hear more about an exact release date. For example, let's say a new coaster was announced to open in summer of 2023. Great, how exciting! But there aren't any specifics attached to that yet. Is it early summer? Late summer? Is it really going to be summer at all? Or will unforeseen circumstances push progress back by a season or two? All of these things have happened in Disney World. So if you want to make sure you're planning your trip around the release of a certain ride or experience, wait until an official date is given. That way you don't have to take a shot in the dark and hope for the best. Also, keep in mind that rides on their opening day are prone to a lot of hiccups, as they're getting used to their new life as a full-time Disney World attraction. So if you want to increase your chances of getting on said ride without multiple malfunctions, you may want to wait and book your trip for a couple of months after that official opening day when maybe all of the kinks have been worked out. When it comes to construction and renovations, Disney will announce those extended closures on their website way ahead of time, so you don't have to be caught off guard. You can search different must-do experiences on the Disney World website and see if there are any announcements about closures or changes happening in the not-so-distant future. You'll usually see these announcements at the top of the webpage written out in orange font. You can also check out my DFB newsletter. That way you don't even have to worry about searching for every little closure. I'll just let you know about them ASAP when I hear about them by dropping a little message straight to your email. And best of all, my newsletters are totally free. And when it comes to a broken down ride, wait it out. Easier said than done, right? Especially if it breaks down while you are in line. But Disney works to get their rides up and running again as soon as possible. Sometimes that means a 15 to 20 minute delay. Sometimes it means an hour or so. And it's really hard to decide once in a while when you're in line and the ride's down and you have to figure out if you stay in line or if you get out of line and then get back in. So keep track of the My Disney Experience app map so you know when the ride goes back online. And if you're waiting in line already, rule of thumb is usually to give it a 10 to 15 minute grace period before jumping out of line if you've already been waiting a while. But if you just entered the line, get out of there. Go check out some other experiences and come back when things are functioning good as new again. Now, can you guess what this next point's going to be about? I'll give you a hint. It starts with cha and ends with ching. That's right, spending a lot more money than expected. This can cause serious disappointment. When you plan a Disney trip, you already know it's going to be expensive. And if you don't, well, you got a lot of catching up to do. Don't worry, we got some videos to help fill you in. But what about when you finally budget everything out only to stumble on hidden expenses you weren't expecting to find? So let's talk about everyone's favorite topic. Taxes. Yay. Now, Orlando's Disney property is so expansive that it stretches across 2 different counties, Orange and Osceola. Depending on which hotel falls into which county will determine how high your taxes will be regarding your hotel purchases. And on top of the regular county taxes, Walt Disney World also has the added tourism tax, making the overall tax rate for Disney hotels 12.5% in Orange County and 13.5% in Osceola. And then there are some expenses that you may have forgotten about or just flat out overlooked, like parking fees at the parks and hotels, automatic gratuities for larger parties at select restaurants, and general price hikes for tickets, menu items, and merchandise galore. Just when you think your budget's looking solid, all these extra expenses start to really add up. What about Genie Plus, right? And that's frustrating when you've already worked so hard to not have to stress over the money. So let's talk solutions. While you're planning a budget for your park tickets and hotel rooms, either as a package or individually, look at the overall cost presented to you right before you're about to check out, and not just what you see for the initial advertised price, because your total cost is going to look pretty different from what you might have initially seen online. It's especially important not to budget around what Disney presents as the average cost for tickets and hotel rooms, because there are lots of factors that play into your overall bill. For example, the Disney World website is going to tell you that the average cost for a park ticket is $109 per day, but that is not true. The prices for your tickets are all based around a few different factors: what time of year you're visiting, how many days you'll need tickets for, if you're purchasing an adult or a child ticket, and if you're adding on park hoppers to visit more than one park per day, which is going to be an extra $69 to $89 upcharge. Because remember, Disney has date-based ticketing, so all of those things factor into how much your tickets will cost. Now, in the past, I've always tried to budget $100 to $200 over what I think I'm going to need, even after I make my final purchases for my theme park tickets and Disney hotel stay, because I want to make sure we've got a safety net just in case we stumble on another expense we weren't expecting to pay for. And don't forget, for every hidden expense, there's also a hidden way to save. Disney Springs has lots of restaurants with happy hour offerings and loyalty rewards programs to help cut down on the cost of your meals. You can also help cut the cost of dining around the parks by doing things like purchasing kids' meals at quick service restaurants, which, yes, are actually available to buy for all ages and are honestly plenty of food. Eating breakfast and brunch at themed restaurants like Cinderella's Royal Table in Magic Kingdom and Chef Mickey's will give you a cheaper meal than lunch or dinner, but a similar experience. And stocking up on preloaded Disney gift cards to use around the parks with your Sam's or Target Red Card memberships, that'll give you a 5% savings off your total gift card purchases. Now, Disney expenses are such a major bummer for so many of us, so I gotta talk about another way you can feel like you're throwing money away toward an ultimately disappointing time and how to avoid it. And that's spending a lot of money on mediocre food. I'd be a downright liar if I told you I'd thoroughly enjoyed all the meals I've ever ordered in Disney World. I've had lots of meals I walked away from going, well, I guess it was okay, but it was not worth the money. I won't point fingers, at least not in this video, but I do point fingers in a lot of other videos. All right, not being too fond of a quick service location here and there is one thing. It's still disappointing, but at least it wasn't budget breaking. But when you're repeatedly disappointed in your Disney World meals, or if you're disappointed in a table or signature meal you had to break your piggy bank for, you can quickly get burnt out on Disney food only a couple of days into your trip. So let's talk about a solution. The reason we do what we do is to help prevent you from having to settle on paying for mediocre Disney food during your vacation. That's why we pay for all these things first and give you our honest first impressions of different Disney entrees, snacks, desserts, drinks, festival items, everything. That's also why we keep going back to these restaurants year after year after year to give you the updates, to give you the changes, and to give you maybe the good news or the bad news about how it's changed. And you can learn about the good, the bad, and the disappointing in that 2022 DFB Guide to Walt Disney World Dining on our DFB store website. We've also got tons of videos talking about some of our favorite restaurants from this year that have given us excellent service and quality meals time and again. Because like I say, the only consistent thing about Disney restaurants is that they're inconsistent. So here's a little sampler platter of dining superlatives for y'all that hopefully won't be disappointing. For best adventurous dining, try Skipper Canteen in Magic Kingdom, Yak and Yeti in Disney's Animal Kingdom, maybe Boma or Sanaa in Disney's Animal Kingdom Lodge. These are flavors that are going to be a little bit different from what you're used to when it comes to theme park entrees. For best comfort food, try Homecoming in Disney Springs and Rose and Crown Pub in Epcot, maybe Raglan Road over there in Disney Springs as well. Those are going to be comfort food eats that'll make your tummy and taste buds pretty happy. For best quick service meals, Satuli Canteen in Disney's Animal Kingdom, Chicken Guy in Disney Springs, Columbia Harbor House in Magic Kingdom. Those are all good options. For best drink options, try Nomad Lounge in Disney's Animal Kingdom and La Cava del Tequila in Epcot. And for great entrees for picky eaters, try Backlot Express in Disney's Hollywood Studios and Cosmic Rays Starlight Cafe in Magic Kingdom. You may also want to go to Connections Eatery in Epcot. That's where you're going to get your chicken tenders. Now, remember, we review every single restaurant in that DFB Guide to Walt Disney World Dining, and we have a huge chapter of just recommendations, and those are all current within the last 6 months, and so you definitely want to check that out too. But just because we like these places doesn't mean you and your group will. It's always important to study up on the menus beforehand instead of relying solely on the opinions of others. We're even divisive on the DFB team. For example, lots of us love the cheeseburger pods from Satuli Canteen, and others of us wish there was more cheese on said cheeseburger, and that they tasted less like something you'd get at Mickey D's. And some of us absolutely love the margaritas at La Cava del Tequila, while others think that the flavors kind of don't taste great. That's why we work together as a team to give you all the facts from all the different angles to build our reviews around. If you're at a restaurant and you think you've stumbled across the entree of your dreams, except for a certain ingredient or two, then don't forget to request a modification when you order it. Disney really does want you to love what you get, because if you love it, chances are you'll come back again. So they'll try their best to be accommodating. Just talk to your server and they will do their best to help you out. Now, next we're going to talk about weather, but it's not what you're used to. If you're not prepared for the heat or the rain, they can come as a shock to really mess up your perfectly planned day, of course, but it's not just about getting rained on. Rides that have outdoor sections or operate entirely outdoors are going to close when thunderstorms are in the area, which if you know Florida weather at all, that's a lot. Modes of transportation like the Skyliner and boats, those are going to pause during storms, and you'll need to find an alternate route to get where you're going. Thunderstorms and rain also put a damper on swimming and other outdoor activities at your hotel, but parades and fireworks can also be delayed or outright canceled due to severe weather. Magic Kingdom has a slightly more rain-friendly rainy day cavalcade they may send out instead of Festival of Fantasy, but it's not the same. A rainy day in the park can mess with a few hours of your time, but what if you're at a Magic Kingdom party and the event is only a few hours of time? Well, here's the solution there. If your Magic Kingdom party gets rained out, you may be able to get what's called a rain check. This will depend on how many special events and extras get canceled, like how many characters maybe you can't meet because it's raining, or how many parades were canceled, etc. But if parades don't happen, shows are canceled, and fireworks are delayed or canceled, you'll likely be eligible to come back on a different night for the party. Be sure to ask at guest relations before you leave for the evening, as it's typically done on a case-by-case basis. If you're stranded because the Skyliner stopped, Disney will run buses along the same route, but always plan a little extra time than you think you need to get from point A to point B. And for all other weather-related woes, it's mostly about coming prepared. Have a weather app you trust to keep tabs on incoming storms, and really do trust that app because it's probably right. And be sure to seek shelter before they hit. Try to hit those outdoor rides early in the morning so you don't have to worry about afternoon storms disrupting those plans. And bring rain gear. Take breaks if you're there in the heat of summer, and bring layers for cooler times of year. Climate-controlled areas are few and far between during busy park days, so prepare for very little of that and seek it out when you can. What if you spend a ton of money and plan the perfect vacation and your kids hate it. Well, it kind of shatters your soul a bit when you plan out this fun and exciting Disney World experience, only to have them turn around and hit you with a thanks but no thanks. And believe it or not, it happens. Some specific examples? Maybe planning a whole bibbidi-bobbidi boutique princess makeover for your 4-year-old, going all out with a $230 castle package with hairstyling, makeup, jewelry, nail polish, and a dress-up gown, only for them to be in a mood and wail during the entire experience, then stripping off the gown just as soon as they leave the salon. There have also been instances where kiddos are downright traumatized by rides like Haunted Mansion and refuse to go on anything else without throwing a fit because they're scared that more hitchhiking ghosts are going to follow them home. My sweet little 2-year-old loved roller coasters until he rode Big Thunder Mountain Railroad in Disneyland and didn't realize there was going to be so much dynamite and fire coming at him. And after that, he wouldn't ride anything for about 3 years. So if this is supposed to be fun, why is nobody having fun? All right, the solution, well, of course you gotta know your kids. Your kids are gonna be your kids whether they're at Disney World or not. And if they're scared of stuff at home, they're probably gonna be scared of stuff in Disney World too. They're not gonna change just because you go to Disney World. If your kids are older, ask them their preferences and have an open conversation about the things they'd prefer to skip and would really like to ride. And it's okay to not do every aspect of a Disney trip. If parts of that trip make people in your group uncomfortable, then skip it. For the younger kids, you might want to try playing YouTube videos of particular ride-throughs to get a feel for how they might react to them before your big trip. Our friends over at allears.net have full POV ride-throughs of lots of Disney World rides and Disneyland rides that you can use to help test these waters. You can also see what your kids are interested in just by trying similar activities back home that parallel the ones you might want to do in Disney. Play dress up, go to a nearby carnival or amusement park, practice walking around your local mall with and without a stroller to test their endurance and patience. Maybe have them meet some sort of character if you have access to one at a local ballpark or the Easter Bunny or something, just to see how they react. And maybe you'll learn that your kid just isn't ready for a Disney World trip right now, and that's okay too. It's better to figure that out ahead of time than spend thousands on a vacation that's going to make you feel like you're constantly forcing everyone to have a good time when nobody does. Whether you love Disney or are indifferent towards it, almost everyone can agree that this next aspect of park planning is super disappointing to run across trip after trip after trip, and that's that it's way too busy to do anything. So let me paint the scene for you. You're headed to Magic Kingdom. You've invested a lot of money in going to Magic Kingdom. You arrive, and instead of having your goosebump-inducing moment when you start walking down the middle of Main Street, USA towards Cinderella Castle, you're met with shoulder-to-shoulder crowds attempting to bump you into the trolley tracks and twist your ankle. Then you learn how incredibly long all the ride lines are. Big Thunder Mountain Railroad is pushing a 50-minute wait, Space Mountain's at 70 minutes, Peter Pan's Flight is 75. Between the 3 rides, you're waiting well over 3.5 hours for just around 13 minutes of ride time. Yeah, let that sink in. But we have solutions. Of course we do. Is it an easy out for me to say plan ahead for these crowds? Probably, but let me explain. There's a difference between a Disney traveler who's wandering aimlessly through the parks with little to no pre-planning helping guide their path versus you who knew they needed a game plan for your trip several months, if not a year in advance. The Disney traveler who planned ahead, they're going to be able to know which rides to hit up first, which to hit up in the afternoon, which to go to later in the evening. You can check out the forecasted wait times on the free version of the Disney Genie planning tool on the My Disney Experience app to get a better idea for when certain rides will be at their peak and lowest wait times of the day. You can have all your reservations lined up for table service restaurants, so you know you're guaranteed a seat for lunch and dinner, or you've already got your quick service meals mobile ordered before the lunch and dinner rushes shuffle in. By the way, advanced dining reservations for sit-down meals open up 60 days before your trip, and you've also studied up on things like Disney Genie Plus and individual Lightning Lane entrances to see if that's something that might benefit you in the long run, since these premium planning tools will be able to help you bypass the main queues of attractions. Genie Plus is going to cost you $15 per person per day, which will give you Lightning Lane access to over 40 rides and attractions, while individual Lightning Lane entrances will help you bypass the big lines of the most popular rides, and those will cost $7 to $17 per person per ride. And of course, you're also aware of when things are a little too hectic and know how to escape from the masses when need be, like jumping on Disney transportation to head over to a hotel for some drinks, afternoon activities, and overall quiet time. But the Disney World traveler who didn't get a lot of pre-planning done before their big trip may get caught up in following the crowds, which could lead to waiting in lines that are way too long, missing out on Disney dining opportunities that are way too busy, and potentially getting overwhelmed with how people-y the parks can truly get, especially in mid to late afternoon. So if you're going to spend the money on this trip, it is important to do your homework to help things go so much more smoothly for you and your group. And I will tell you right now, we've been doing these videos for years and years and years. All the tips are in here. Everything you need to know is here on DFB Guide. So just check them out, watch some videos, and you're going to be ready to go. I get emails from people every single day telling me that these videos cemented their ability to have a great Disney World trip. And I believe it because we pour our hearts into making sure you have all the information you need. Now, next we're going to talk about missed reservations because this happens a lot. Let's say you're not really a planner, or try as you might, you weren't able to get that coveted dining reservation no matter how early you got up or how much you planned. We see it all the time and we've experienced it ourselves. Dining reservations or park pass reservations, they get snapped up before you have the chance to make them. Or worst of all, you didn't realize you needed to make one in the first place. This is when it gets really, really sad and when people get really, really mad. When Park Pass reservations first became a thing, we witnessed lots of folks at hotel lobby desks or at park entrances confused as to why their ticket wasn't good enough to get them into the parks. They already paid for it after all. Or for those rides that use virtual queues, the poor folks standing at the ride entrance unable to enter because they weren't up at 7 a.m. booking their spot. Some folks can't get into restaurants or parks they want to because they didn't make reservations early enough or know they were supposed to make reservations. So here's your solution. First of all, good for you to be here in the first place watching this video. This is going to help a lot. And like my point just before this one, planning is going to be your key to success when it comes to Disney World. If you don't know you need to make Park Pass reservations for Epcot's 40th anniversary on October 1st, or grab a reservation at Cinderella's Royal Table well in advance, this is your PSA right now that certain things in certain days will absolutely sell out. If there's something you really want to do or see in Disney World, prioritize knowing if you need a reservation for it and make that reservation ASAP. Usually doesn't cost anything to make a Park Pass reservation, by the way. If you're just unlucky and checked all those boxes and still struck out, don't give up because cancellations do happen. And if you keep checking back for dining reservations or even Park Pass reservations, new spots may open up. Okay, next one. The future is now, but is the future really all it's cracked up to be, or is it setting us up for failure? A lot of people are disappointed in Disney World because they're staring at their phone all day long. And this isn't because of social media. This is because of the My Disney Experience app. Now, it's kind of hard to remember a time when Disney World didn't have a My Disney Experience app, right? Nowadays, we rely on MDE for a big chunk of our trip. We use it to mobile order from quick service locations. We use it to plan out lightning lanes throughout the day. We use it to hold our tickets and key cards. We use it to pay for merchandise at some gift shops. We even use it to help us find our car in the Disney World parking lots or to get non-emergency medical advice from Advent Health when we're feeling a tad under the weather. So lots of things going on in one little app. Also, bathrooms. I know, I always talk about it, but it's important that it's there. But even though this app has proven to be very useful, it also comes with downsides. Some folks feel as if the My Disney Experience app takes away from living in the moment of a Disney World vacation. We're keeping our nose in our phones, looking for the next lightning lane, trying to snag last-minute spots on walk-up wait lists for restaurants, and obsessively checking wait times on those Disney park maps. Instead of living in the moment, some guests fear that Disney has become nothing more than getting on your phone and looking for what's next. So let's talk solutions. Once again, the My Disney Experience app can be very handy, but it's easy to see why some folks have a cause for concern. But here's the thing, you don't have to use this for every aspect of your trip if you don't want to. You can use physical key cards to unlock your hotel room. You can stand in line for quick service locations and order your food in front of a living, breathing cast member. And you don't have to get Genie Plus at all if you don't want to. In all honesty, you can use the My Disney Experience app as little or as much as you'd like. But as important as it is to find a balance for how much you're using your phone during your trip, it's also important to not completely avoid it. Because if you learn about this app ahead of time, it really can make your trip easier, aside from a few glitches you might stumble upon along the way. Technology isn't always foolproof. Not to mention, it's a complimentary service, unless you're looking to add on the premium Disney Genie Plus tool, so it costs you nothing to download and familiarize yourself with all its different features ahead of time. To help create a phone vacation balance, try taking taking turns using the My Disney Experience app within your group. It's nice when multiple people are familiar with this tech because that means the burden of having to navigate everything doesn't fall solely on one person. Have the My Disney Experience with all your group info set up on multiple phones throughout your group. That way you can tag team when one of you needs a screen time break. And this is also a way to get your kids super invested in the trip. If they get to be trip captain for a day, they're gonna have a blast. But what if you really are having a picture perfect day when bam, you're forced to end it way sooner than you were expecting to? Now we're moving on to our next disappointment, and that's early closures. More often than not, the Disney World parks stay open pretty late. After all, it's going to be dark to see those fireworks blast through the night sky, right? But on occasion, the parks close super early, as in Magic Kingdom's closing up shop at 6 p.m. before many of you even had the chance to think about what you're going to eat for dinner. And yet that doesn't mean Magic Kingdom's planning on going to sleep anytime soon. They're going to party the night away from 7 p.m. to midnight with those after hours parties. But here's the catch. These holiday parties, which are filled with exclusive holiday treats, ride overlays, and limited time shows, are part of a separate ticketed event. And if you only have the daytime ticket, not a party ticket, you're gonna have to hit the road as soon as the clock strikes 6, cutting your day way short. Advertised parties may not be the only reason your choice park closes early for the day. Companies can buy out private time in the parks. It's not too common because those prices are high, like $200,000 high, but it can happen, and that kind of thing won't be advertised. It'll just show up as shortened hours for that day. So it's very important to keep an eye on that park hours calendar. So the solution? Well, a lot of these shortened park days don't have to come out of nowhere. Disney World has a park hours calendar featured on their website that you can refer to before purchasing your tickets. So instead of jumping the gun and making your park pass reservations immediately, make sure the days you're planning on going don't collide with an after hours party or some other early closure day. And don't just look out for the early Magic Kingdom closures. Sometimes the other parks will wrap up their days sooner than later too, for those private events or trainings. But then again, you don't have to plan around skipping these days at all if you don't want to. Historically speaking, Disney days where the hours are cut shorter also seem to have lighter crowds. Not to mention, if you get to the parks around opening, then you can still manage 9.5 hours in the parks before you've got to leave, and that's still a very full day. But if you want to keep the party going, you can purchase an after-hours party ticket and extend your day on into the witching hours. The big downside of doubling up on after-hours party tickets and regular park tickets is that the party tickets tend to cost just as much as your regular day ticket, if not more. So you may want to settle for just paying for one or the other. If you decide to just go with the party ticket, you'll still be able to enter the Magic Kingdom 3 hours before the party begins, meaning you can waltz right on through the gates starting at 4 p.m. This also means you can manage a full park day taking this route too if you decide to hang out in the parks from 4 till midnight, because that's still 8 full hours with fewer crowds since after-hours parties do cap off at a limited number of guests. Another tip is to get a park hopper. So even if the parks do close early unexpectedly, you can hop on over to another park and keep enjoying yourself well into the evening. Now, even when you have a seemingly perfect Magic Kingdom day, the end of the night could sneak up on you and kick you with a major Debbie Downer. What if you miss out on the Magic Kingdom's nighttime spectacular? Well, it's fairly easy to see the Magic Kingdom fireworks in general. You can watch them right by Cinderella Castle, from the comfort of a nearby resort beachside, on a private boat, or maybe even from the window of your hotel room, depending on if you decide to splurge on a theme park view. But you're a little more limited when it comes to watching the nighttime spectacular Disney Enchantment as a whole. And I'm talking about all those Cinderella Castle projections that stretch all the way down Main Street, USA, featuring Disney characters from our favorite films, as well as real live Tinkerbell zipping across the sky toward the end of the night. And now that Magic Kingdom has those new projections at the beginning of the show, it's even more enchanting than it was before. But just because you're in Magic Kingdom doesn't mean you're guaranteed a great spot for the show. Sometimes you'll get stuck without a good spot, finding yourself being told to keep it moving by cast members who are trying to clear the pathways for other guests. But when you keep it moving, you'll get caught in a loop of guests exiting the park, pulling you farther away from a clear viewpoint of the castle. So here's your solution if seeing those fireworks is one of the most important things for you. You're going to need to stake out a good spot on Main Street, USA about 20 minutes before the show starts. And yeah, you're more than welcome to track down a spot earlier than that, but I wouldn't spend too much of my park day waiting around for this 18-minute show because there's so much of Magic Kingdom to see. But where should you go to get the best view? Unfortunately, it's kind of tricky to see the whole thing from one vantage point because, like I said earlier, these projections do stretch all the way down Main Street, USA. But your best bet for a good view is sticking close to Casey's Corner or across the way at the Plaza Ice Cream Parlor. That way you can ooh and ah over the castle, but also turn around and catch the Main Street projections from time to time as well. The sidewalks to the left and right sides of the Castle Hub are also nice spots to track down. Not only will you have a clear view of the castle, but you'll also be able to stand a couple inches higher than those who still got their feet planted on the street. If you'd rather not risk your view of this show being obstructed, then you may want to consider investing in one of the Magic Kingdom dessert parties. Magic Kingdom has 3 dessert parties: the pre-party, the after-party, and the Disney Enchantment treats and seats. The pre and after party are $99 per adult and give you not only a bunch of different desserts and beverages, both alcoholic and non, but also a clear view of the nighttime spectacular from a reserved spot in the Plaza Garden. Treats and seats, you're going to pay $114, but you'll be able to enjoy your goodies during the show from the comfort of the Tomorrowland Terrace patio. You definitely don't have to invest in either of these dessert parties to get a good spot for Disney Enchantment, but dessert parties can be a lot of fun for special occasions. Now, I've got one final note that may be a hard pill to swallow for some of you. Not everyone is going to be absolutely blown away by their Disney World vacation, and sometimes it doesn't have anything to do with what we talked about today. Sometimes it has to do with personal circumstances outside the Disney company, or maybe expectations were just set way too high for certain experiences in general. But on the brighter side of things, there are also lots of you out there who walk away from your vacations with the best memories, despite having 1 or 2 moments of major disappointment. No Disney World trip is perfect, but the important thing is to plan ahead, save up, communicate with your group, and watch these DFB Guide videos because we're going to help you out a lot, believe me. Go ahead and subscribe if you're not already subscribed. Thanks for listening, everyone, and thanks for watching. As always, this is AJ for Disney Food Blog, and we'll see you real soon.